Nate here. We are officially 3 weeks and 2 days inside my challenge, living on under $500 a month here in the Philippines. I almost threw in the towel. I almost called it quits because I thought it was already a failure. That's why this video is a little bit late. But on second thought, I think maybe we can make it to the end of the month on $500. Before we talk about that, let's go over the costs and activities for week 3. We've already spent 12,979 pesos or $216.13 by the end of week 2. I started off week 3 strong though with getting a 20 peso water refill. I showed you in previous videos that the water refills are 30 pesos each at the water refill station, but somebody had left a couple pesos inside the machine, so I got a discount. I was feeling real strong about it. The only problem with week 3 is this is a lot of the major expenses. And we started off week 3 with paying the electrical bill. It's day 15 and time to pay my electric bill. I'm going on a nice long walk to save myself $1. Much like the Filipino people, I have my umbrella. Already taking a huge hit, but I walked there and back, which saved me money on the tricycle. And then me and Miss Secret walked into town. We ended up going to like this local bread joint where you can get bread for 5 pesos a piece. So we got 18 pieces of bread for 90 pesos or a buck 50. And then we had to go to Gaisano. We were out of a lot of stuff. We needed toilet paper, some pancake mix. We needed just supplies. And this was kind of the first time I was really hit with the understanding that my lifestyle choices and wanting to live a healthier lifestyle was going to be more expensive than the less expensive lifestyle that I need to live on under $500 a month. Now, prior to this, I had pretty much exclusively been using olive oil, or Miss Secret uses olive oil. She's used to just using whatever's the cheapest vegetable oil there is, and that's the way it is. Once we ran out of the olive oil I had, though, I realized that for just a little half-liter jug, I was going to be paying $10 to $15 for the olive oil. So instead, we made a compromise. Instead of getting the cheap seed oils, the cheap vegetable oils, or the very expensive olive oil, we ended up getting coconut oil. She was a little apprehensive at first, but she seems like she's okay with cooking with it now. And then there was the trike ride back with all the groceries. Overall, day 15 was 1,080 pesos. But you've got to stock up on supplies for the week, so you got to do what you got to do. Day 16 was another large expense. I had to pay rent, and there was also a big expat gathering. So it was a place that was like a very fancy dinner, very lovely to eat at, and we saw the Lord of the land and his wife, Roger and Cosette. I'm very blessed that Roger paid for the meal. He's a very, very nice man, and he understood my challenges. And a big shout out to my subscriber and watcher of the videos, Tony. I appreciate the lemonade too. So almost like the pauper and beggar that I am, people paid for my food and beverage, and I paid my 10,000 peso rent. And you might ask, what does 10,000 pesos get you here in the Philippines? Well, let me go ahead and show you now. Your rent is really going to depend on the location, your amenities, and obviously your proximity to foreigners and how you find a rental. If you're going through places that are specifically designed to market to foreigners, you're going to be paying more. If you're living in a big city like Manila or Cebu City, you're going to be paying more. If you're living in a condo, like I was in Iloilo, you're going to be paying more. But this is what 10,000 pesos got me here in Malaybalay City. In hindsight, I think if I was living on $500 a month, I'd probably get a place for about 6,000 pesos, but it wouldn't be this nice. As soon as you walk in the front door, you can see we've got a couch set up. A nice big open space. That's our dining room table. And then you see my office. This is where I spend most of my nights trading stocks, editing videos, doing all the things I need to do. And my lucky Naga looking over me, making sure I can make all the money I want. Sorry, it's a little bit of a mess. Miss Secret didn't know I was filming a video, and that's okay. Got some yoga mats, some chairs, the refrigerator you saw in the last video, plates. Then, out here, this isn't much. I don't hang out here. This is usually just for drying towels, washing shoes, things like that. But a little balcony as well. Now, a lot of the stuff you see here, I did purchase. Things like the refrigerator came with it. This is one of the big ways you can get a more expensive apartment, is a water heater. But I am extremely adverse to taking cold showers. Come in here, we have a nice big wardrobe. Miss Secret gets the closet. I get up here, she gets the hooks. Here's another way you can save money, is the air conditioner. If you're going to want a hot water heater for the bathroom and an air conditioner, you're going to pay for it. And that's my simple apartment. It's actually significantly larger than my condominium in Iloilo, but much smaller than, say, like a full 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom that I could have gotten. But I was paying almost 20 grand in Iloilo. I'm paying 10,000 here. So thanks to the generosity of others, we paid my rent. We had the tricycle ride there and back, so that made this day 10,060 pesos. Day 2 of week 3 is already very expensive. On the 17th of the month, water was empty again. We've been drinking a lot of water. It takes water to cook the rice. So it was another 30 pesos down right off the jump. Then I had a little charity thing I do, but I don't like to talk about it in public. It was 100 pesos. You don't have to be religious to know that the Bible has a lot of really great advice. And one of the things the Bible says is don't let the right hand see what the left hand is giving when it comes to charity. And that's why I won't talk about it publicly. But I would highly recommend that if you can do a little thing here and there and offer some kind of employment where you're not just kind of giving out money, but some simple tasks so people can understand that it's not okay just to walk up to foreigners and say, give me money, but instead to do some kind of work for it, I highly recommend it. And that means on the 17th of this month, the whole day's expenditure was only 130 pesos. Nothing. The problem with that was on the 18th, I started getting a little cocky. I started feeling a little too comfortable. There were a lot of low-cost days because on the 18th, we only spent 60 pesos on a tricycle ride into town and back. We just basically went out, hung out, saw some of this dancing, and enjoyed our time at Kamulan. The 19th was here. We took a trike into the Kamulan grounds inside the festival area, and we had a wonderful dinner for only 455 pesos. The problem is when you get kind of those cheaper meals, they're not very filling, and sometimes they're not as yummy, so you're kind of just spending money to not cook at home or not eat something quick and easy at home. We did get some really delicious sugarcane juice. Check this out. Then we shared a smoothie and walked home. And that brought the total for the 19th all the way to 685 pesos. Then that kicking the can down the road that I mentioned before, that's kind of where this came into play. We had 3 loads of laundry. It was 480 pesos, not including the soap that I already had. So right off the beginning of the day, it was rough. That's a big expense for the very beginning of the day, but that wasn't even close to the end of it. We ended up filling up the water jug again for another 30 pesos, and Miss Secret didn't want to cook. She wanted some fried chicken, so 30 pesos for that. Not much, but every little piece adds up. We ended up walking into town. Great way to save 30 pesos on the trike. I got my fresh haircut that you're seeing right now. Looking good, right? The beard's pretty ridiculous, but I wanted a ridiculous beard this week. Miss Secret had some feminine needs from the Watsons, which is like our Walgreens, and that cost 470 pesos. And then I had to put money on my phone. You know, I haven't talked about having my phone here this whole month. I put on 300 pesos. 300 to 400 pesos is generally what it costs me to keep phone service with plenty of data, unlimited text, unlimited calls here in the Philippines. That's with Globe. We ended up going to this little spot called Tatsi's and picking up some meat, just some sausages and some beef tapa. We had no meat in the house. We had almost no food, almost completely running out. And then on the walk home, we ended up buying 30 pesos worth of bananas, so about 50 cents. The multi-cab we took, a jeepney to a lot of you folks, we call it a multi-cab around here, slight difference. That was another 30 pesos. And that brought the total to 2,054 pesos. Just blowing the budget out of the water between rent, electric, phone, and just needs. 21st, we did great. We didn't spend any money at all. And the same went for the 22nd. We managed to just stay home, not spend anything. And I worked out the numbers, and frankly, I found it absolutely depressing. The total for week 3, 15,634 pesos. If you add that up with week 1 and week 2, that means I've already spent 28,613 pesos. 28,613 pesos. For those of you keeping track, out of a 30,000 peso budget, leaves me with 1,387 pesos. For $23.11. One of the reasons I was late in this video is because I really didn't think I could make it last from the 23rd to the 30th on $23.11. Especially when, yeah, we've got some meat in the house. We had like sauces, some cooking stuff, but we got no vegetables, we got no fruit. So when the 23rd hit and I realized we were almost out of rice, I had to refill the water jug, buy a kilo of rice from the same place that I pick up the water from. So that right there, another like 85 pesos. Then we went to the market. I am now left with, for the remainder of the month, from the 25th to the 30th, 120 pesos, or $2. Now, I think we got enough food that it can last us the rest of the week, but I'm not really sure. And frankly, this $500 budget lifestyle, it's not looking like I can hack it. But this was week 3. Sometimes we're failures. Maybe I'll be a winner. You'll see later down the path.